My neighbor knocked on my door at 3 a.m., and what he asked for made me call the police. At exactly 3 a.m., someone started banging on my front door. Bam! 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 I jumped out of bed. I thought my house was on fire. I looked through the window. It was my neighbor. He was standing outside in his pajamas. I opened the door just a little. I said, "Dude, it's 3 in the morning. Is everything okay?" He looked extremely serious. "No." I immediately grabbed my phone. "What happened?" He whispered. "I need your help." I said, "Is someone hurt?" "No." "Is your house on fire?" "No." "Did someone break into your house?" He shook his head. "No." I was getting nervous. "Then why are you banging on my door at 3 a.m.? He looked me directly in the eyes and said, "I think my wife is trying to kill me." I immediately called the police. 5 minutes later, 2 officers arrived. They asked my neighbor, "Sir, what makes you think your wife is trying to kill you?" My neighbor pointed toward his house. "She made me dinner." The officers looked at each other. One officer said, "Sir, your wife making dinner doesn't mean she's trying to kill you." My neighbor shook his head. "You don't understand. What did she cook?" He whispered, "Meatloaf." The officer sighed. "Okay, and?" "My wife never makes meatloaf." Everyone got quiet. The officer asked, "Why is that suspicious?" My neighbor looked terrified. "Because yesterday I told her I didn't like meatloaf." The officer stared at him. "That doesn't mean she wants to kill you." My neighbor shook his head. "There's more." "What?" He leaned closer. "She put vegetables on my plate." The officer immediately stepped back. "Okay, that's definitely suspicious." My neighbor nodded. "I knew it!" The officers went inside to talk to his wife. A few minutes later, they came back out. The officer looked at my neighbor. "Sir, your wife isn't trying to kill you." My neighbor looked relieved. "Really?" "No." The officer pointed at him. "She just wants you to eat healthier." My neighbor smiled. "Oh, thank God!" Then the officer said, "But there's one problem." My neighbor froze. "What?" The officer looked at me. "Your neighbor called us because he thought his wife was trying to kill him." I nodded. "Yeah?" The officer continued. "But your neighbor forgot one important detail." "What detail?" The officer pointed at my neighbor. "He's the one who cooked the meatloaf." My neighbor looked confused. Then he slowly whispered, "Wait, so who called the police?" Everyone stared at him. He thought for a moment. Then he said, "Honestly, I have no idea." And that's when I realized my neighbor wasn't being murdered. He was just too stupid to remember what he had for dinner.